Hi all, today I will be conducting basic static analysis on a malware called Win32.Pinfi.B using the Windows XP machine. With basic static analysis, it will give us an overview of the malware and its functionality. Before we get started, I'll first use VirusTotal as shown here, which is a website that has incorporates numerous antivirus products as well as online scan engine to check for viruses that the file may consist of. As you can see, upon placing the Win32.Pinfi.B malware into the website, it will automatically generate a report, which is often used to allow users to verify against any false positive. As shown, 60 out of the 68 antivirus engines utilized by VirusTotal have detected the malware as malicious, and most of them have detected the malware as a PEID. As shown here, PEID is actually a malware that aims to infect .exe and .scr executable files that are stored in the local file system and on writable network shares. The infected executable files will then perform operations that could cause other .exe and .scr files to become infected as well. Now we'll move on to the details page. As seen here, there are actually hash value of the malware, which will be used later on to compare with MD5, as well as there are other details shown such as the creation name, creation time, the other possible file names. So next, evaluations page. We can identify information of whether there are any attempts by the malware to request and make a connection to any foreign networks or files. As we can see, the malware has actually attempted to make an external connection to the network. And it has also contacted multiple domains as shown here, as well as contacting 2 URLs. And it has also dropped a temporary file. So upon clicking the temporary file, you can see that the temporary file drop is actually also a malware, which is likely to be a PEID as well. So now we will open the Windows XP machine. And we will now be using WinMD5. Now I will drop the file inside. It can be seen that the output hash is actually the same as the one in VirusTotal. This will indicate that the malware scanned by VirusTotal is the same malware as what we are going to analyze in this Windows XP machine, and that any information shown in the generated report from VirusTotal will be relevant. Next, we'll be using PEID. PEID is used to check if the malware is packed, and as sometimes malware author would want to pack it so as to hide its functionality. So now I'll open the file. It can be seen that upon expanding the EP section, I can actually see the details of the section in the executable, which includes the section names, virtual size, and many more. And as shown here, there are actually 5 sections. This indicates to me that the malware is not packed, as most packed malware would have its EP section as the packer's signature. For the type of compiler used as shown, that there are actually nothing found. Hence, we will now try to use hardcore scan to further scan it. With this, now we can actually identify that the executable was compiled using Microsoft Visual C++ 6.0. And with this, I can conclude that the malware is actually not packed. However, if one were to use a packed malware, you can still use the unpacker that are available to unpack it, which can be found here, or the plugins. So now to view the administrative information and structure of the Win32.Pinfi.B malware, we will now move on to use PEview. So now I'll open the file. So now we can actually see the information stored in the file header, and there are 5 different sections within the PE file. So under the image file header, we can actually see the possible date and time that this particular malware was compiled. So it can be found under time date stamp. And under the import address table, we can also see the functions and DLLs imported by the malware. And with this, we'll now move on to analyze the imported function and DLL using Dependency Walker. As shown, the malware has actually imported 13 different main DLL, and each of the DLL has its own unique function. By looking into the details of the imported function in each of the DLL, it will give us some idea of the functionality of the malware. For example, kernel32.dll. So for kernel32.dll, it provides basic functionality such as access and manipulation of memories, files, and hardware. This DLL can be used by the malware to import functions that are needed to execute processes and manage RAM. As in, the above is the imported function and the below are the exported ones. And we can actually see that it has imported a function called createFileA. This is used to create or open an existing file, which shows that the malware might actually want to create a new file. And we can also see a write file function here, which suggests that the intention of the malware is to create or write files into the victim system. And we can also see that this particular DLL has also imported many get functions, which are used to obtain information such as the command lines, file attributes, and full path name. Since we know that the Win32.Pinfi.B is a parent malware based on the report from VirusTotal, it would suggest that it might want to make use of the imported function to find out which file in the victim system are .exe and or .scr, so that it can infect those files. So now we will look into anti-DLL. So as shown, we can actually see that anti-create mutant is also imported, which should state that the malware might have created mutex upon execution. Mutex is often used by malware to prevent the reinfection of a system with the same or different malware variant. This will hint that during dynamic analysis, it would be necessary to look for any creation of mutex. So now we can also take a look at user32.all. So we can see that it has actually imported function that queries the registry values enumerate the subkeys of the specified open registry key, delete the subkeys and value, as well as creation of specified registry key. If the key already exists, the function will then open it. And the function that we need to pay attention of is the vec set value exw, as shown here, which is used to set the data and type of a specified value under a registry key. Based on this, it will suggest that the malware might want to make use of these functions to create a new registry key and set the value of it. Then it will delete the old registry key. So now we'll take a look at COM-DLG 32.dll. So now we can see that it has imported functions like wnet open enum w, which is used to start an enumeration of network resources or existing connections. And another function that are imported is wnet enum resource w, which would help to continue the network resource enumeration started by wnet open enum w functions. This would suggest that the malware might be checking if there are any local network shares in the victim system, as it is also capable of infecting .exe and .scr files in network shares as well. So now we also look into OLEDLG.dlls. So this particular DLL is normally used to perform object linking and embedding operation, which allows objects created in one application to be embedded in other documents or objects that are created by other applications. So now we will look into the functions that you have imported. Okay, so we can see that it has imported the function using ordinal value, which is 8. This actually stands for OLEUIBZA, which is used to invoke the standard busy dialog box, which will allow user to manage concurrency. So now we'll look into OLE32.ell.